Let's go, aka Pirates. I've been waiting to talk to all of you about this. Roy Thomas has stolen credit. And even to his own quote, he believes he should be the top credit when it comes to the billing of Wolverine. What exactly am I talking about? We're talking about who do we say created Wolverine? My contention is very simple baseline. You either do two things when we get into comics. You know the material or you know the history. The intersection of the two they're very different. They're different philosophies and ideas. To further this, I mean, it takes a lifetime to know the material. It takes a lifetime to really go through the weeds of the history of the industry. I call it weeds because from the very beginning, from the very inception, there's just been a lot of contradictory statements, a lot of anecdotes, and very little evidence for a lot of these things within comic book history that we hold to be truthful. A lot of these things, if presented within a court of law, would not hold up. Roy Thomas was weaponized. He was weaponized by you. All the crybabies out there that want to say Bill Finger created Batman. All you crybabies out there that want to say Jack Kirby created the Marvel Universe. All of you crybabies out there that really think that there's creators, period, when it comes to these comic book characters. The characters, they're in continuity and they're published long enough. They're published year after year, month after month for so long. It might take 20 years for a character to hit. And that's a creator coming in and spinning the character in a particular way. Now, he or she may not have created the character, but they created the version of the character that we love. We get a very similar example with Deadpool. This is why I say Deadpool was created by Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness, not Rob Liefeld and Fabian Nicieza. I hate that guy's last name, by the way. Roy Thomas learned from all of you internet crybabies of what was possible. After the Bill Finger drop, after people actually with no evidence, a documentary that even cites historical evidence that Bob Kane predated designing Batman before he even met Bill Finger. It's insane. But Roy Thomas saw this, and he goes, you know what? I think I was in the room when they said the word Wolverine thing. I think I may even said Wolverine. And, next thing I know, he's fighting the Incredible Hulk and Wendigo. That's Roy Thomas's scenario. He learned from the crybabies that don't know enough about the history, that need something to hold on to so they can act like they know about the history. So they go for these weird crevices, these weird moments of nuance in comic book history. And they say, well, you know what, sir? It wasn't Bob Kane. It was Bill Finger. And now we're going to get a generation saying, you know what, sir? It wasn't Len Wein. It wasn't John Romita. It wasn't those two guys. It was Roy Thomas, Stan Lee's best friend. It's insane. And now we have Bill Zikiewicz. I hate that last name too. He's over here. I'm not sure exactly what his point is, but it seems like he's rebuking Mark Waid over here that calls everything Bat SHIT crazy. Yes, the Mark Waid that wrote Ruse for Cross-Gen Comics. Empire Mark Waid. That's the Mark Waid I like. Guys, I hold Mark Waid's work. There's a lot of credibility there. Mark Waid did go off the reservation. Bill Zikiewicz also went off the reservation. It's fun to see these two guys at each other's throats over this topic, which is hilarious because there's so much of comic book history that is absolute hearsay with zero evidence. Think about that. These things you think you know. Hey, guys, I own so many of these books. I own so many books about Stan Lee. Did you guys know this whole story that Stan Lee was crying and they were moving out the Marvel furniture. You guys heard this story. Marvel Studios is closing, and Jack Kirby walks through the door and goes, Stan, what are we trying to do? Let's make some sales, and he saves the day. This story gets repeated by, like, actual, you know, like, people, even people that I think would know better repeat this. Multiple biographies looked into this. They looked into that story. They're all like, no, that never happened. We talked to everyone. It never happened. There's a lot to understand when it comes to the creation of comic books. I think the more you learn about the history of comic books, the more you understand that they're companies. They're companies. And for a long time, they were just a company. And they hired people and they cranked out stories, which kind of, at the end of the day, ended up being a product. And these people were paid contractors, and they were paid. And that's it. You take the paycheck, you do the work, and you move on. For some reason, people think there's like a higher purpose to it. No, you're just a guy with a pencil with a blank piece of paper, do the work, and get out the door. The generation I came up later, we'll call it the image comic book generation, gave creators this falsehood. And John Byrne is so right during this time. You got to be a company guy. You have to be a company guy. The image generation created non-company guys. And it wasn't company policy. Creators only wanted to create new things with incentives. And that's what happened with the image generation. And this is equally an extension of that. Because, you know, we got a couple floating orbs here. It's a company. No one argues about who created Darth Vader. And this is a very, very one-to-one comparison. No one argues who created Walt Disney's Seven Dwarfs, for example. Because you're hired, you do the work, the company puts out the work, and you hope, you pray to God that you make your money back. You hope to God that even the company continues and the work continues. And you keep churning out product, and 50 years go by and you become an institution, and people look back and they say, you know who made a difference during that time? It was these guys. That should be the goal, right? But it's not. It's selfishness. I hate to say it. This Roy Thomas business proves that we need people to do the work. We don't need creators. Just do the effing work. That's it, guys. If you want my final perspective, is Roy Thomas is Mark Waid's right. He's pathetic. He's ridiculous. He's corrupted his own legacy. And people like me are not going to let this go.